Hello, and welcome to Homestands, a mother daughter WNBA podcast where we really talk all things women's basketball. I'm your host, Mia Hunt, and that's my mom, Christine Selk.
Hey guys.
Hello. And today we are talking about the past, present, and future of one of the WNBA's newest expansion teams, the Portland Fire.
Yeah, the Fire's got an interesting history. They were a WNBA team from 2000 to 2002. Mia, fun fact, it was your very first WNBA game. You were
I'm a
3
real
years
one,
old.
real as hell. That's me.
OG,
Mm-hmm.
OG. So they played at what was then the Rose Garden in Portland,
R.I.P.
now the Moda Center, represent P-Town. They had a hell of a fan base. They were averaging 8,000 fans a game, which to Blazer fans is nothing. But in those days of the W, those are big, big numbers.
Yeah.
They did fold, though, unfortunately, after just 3 years of play
Mm.
due to financial issues and ownership challenges under Paul Allen. What
Okay.
happened, just briefly, all WNBA teams were collectively owned by the NBA until 2002. And then what happened? The dot-com crash. And it affected everybody, including the W. That really necessitated all of these teams' sales. And while priority was given to owners of the counterpart NBA teams,
Shocker.
Trailblazers owner Paul Allen didn't want to buy the Fire. And a group of investors led by Clyde the Glide Drexler, a Blazer great, was unsuccessful. So the failure to secure new ownership led to the Portland Fire ceasing operations after 3 fairly lackluster seasons, even with that great
Yeah.
attendance. And a not so fun fact, they were the only WNBA team to have folded without ever qualifying for the playoffs. That's going to change, though,
That'll
this,
change.
this time around. But
Yeah.
something really cool about the Fire, they were really known for a rookie named Jackie Stiles. And many listeners will know this, maybe some who are new to the W don't, but Jackie Stiles was a frickin' beast.
The
Um,
original Midwest phenom is what people
that's what they call her,
have to,
yeah.
yeah.
And she really sparked a super strong women's sports following. So she was the number 4 pick in the 2001 WNBA draft. And she was the NCAA's top scorer when she played college ball. She was the first NCAA Division I women's player to record more than 1,000 points in a season, and her D1 career points record of 3,393 stood for 20 years until it was broken by Kelsey Plum and then broken by
By
you know
Caitlin
who.
Clark.
Cece. Yeah.
That is crazy. That is like what an icon. Um and just like to talk a little bit more about her career, it's
Yeah.
honestly pretty tragic. She was plagued with some really, really serious injuries in her second year of her pro career. She had a broken wrist, a torn rotator cuff, a partially ruptured Achilles tendon, all at the same time. And that kept her off the court for almost her entire second season with the Fire. And then after that, it folded. Like it just wasn't a team anymore. And so she was selected by the Los Angeles Sparks, but due to her injuries, she just would never play another WNBA game in her career. After that, she had 13 surgeries in an attempt to like get her body back into playing shape to play in Australia in 2006. So that was just a couple years later. But yeah, that didn't last very long. And then sadly in 2018, after obviously like her basketball career was behind her, she was diagnosed with a really rare eye cancer called ocular melanoma. And she had radiation treatment, so it prevented her from losing her eye. And to this day, she is cancer free. which is incredible. And now she runs a like basketball and kind of life training business. So
I just love that. I mean,
I know.
what a career that and just
Yeah.
so indicative, Mia, right, of the strain that this puts on
Yes.
women's bodies to really play the sport at the highest levels. And the fact that she,
Exactly.
battled through all of those injury-plagued years and
Yeah.
still basketball is the focus of her life, I just think is really cool. But, back to the fire, kind of
Hmm.
reminiscent of Jackie Stiles and her being able to kind of rise above all of those challenges. On September 18th, 2024, the WNBA awarded a new franchise to Portland, and the team, the Fire, will begin play in 2026 at the Moda Center. So,
Woo-hoo.
woo!
Yay.
Yay.
Yay. We're so excited about it. And throughout this episode, we are talking to two guests, Bill Oram for the Oregonian, where you might have seen his pretty viral piece about why the Portland Fire name is so bad. And we kind of talked to him about, we really dive into that. And we just talk about the history of the league, the sport, the city, all of that. And then we talk to a branding expert, Kate Sokoloff, about all encompassing brand elements, the colors, the word mark, everything about the branding for the Portland Fire. And we do a really fun kind of rapid fire where we rate all of the WNBA teams' logos and kind of analyze them too. So we are talking all things fire today.
So fun.
I did want to mention very quickly that this episode will be pretty visual, discussing logos, branding, things like that. And so, especially in the second half, so we will be uploading it to YouTube. If you wanted to watch there, we'll be inserting all of the images. However, we will also be putting all of it onto our social media that you can follow along quite easily. So it's Homestands Pod everywhere. We are talking to Oregonian sports columnist Bill Oram. Bill, thank you so much for joining Homestands.
Thank you so much for having me. I love what you guys are doing here. I love the name of the podcast. I think this is
Thank you.
great. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much. And I know I said Oregonian. Our listeners' ears are probably perking up. Identifying the correlation here, Mom, I'm going to pass it to you. If you guys wanted to do a little bit of Oregonian chat up top, please, I am giving you the floor.
Oh, I will never pass up an opportunity for a little Oregonian chat. I mean, I have such fond memories of my 14 years at the Oregonian, and Bill and we kind of it was a little bit of sliding doors. I think that did you start as an intern at the O, Bill?
I was only an intern at the
You
O the
were
first
only an
time,
intern.
but
That's right.
I was an intern in the West Bureau and
Mhm.
was there for initially what was supposed to be, I think, a 3-month deal. And I was brought out to write community focused stories for the zoned edition. And did we have zoned editions then? Maybe it wasn't even for zones. Maybe it was just, but I was in the bureau, and I
Yeah.
was told by Susan Gage, who was a managing editor at the time, that I'd probably be writing a lot about cats. And as someone who had recently graduated from the University of Montana, I needed that. I needed to be writing about cats somewhere. I had finished an internship at the Washington Post, but was back in Missoula. And so jumped at it, came out here, worked in Beaverton with the great team out there. And then John Snell retired as the cops reporter out there in the Bureau, and we needed a cops reporter. And that fell to me for some inexplicable reason. Again, largely a sports reporter in my time. I'd been the editor at the college newspaper, but had primarily done sports. And I remember on my first day as the de facto cops reporter in Beaverton or in Washington County, there was a murder suicide at a like a clinic in Tualatin, like up on Martin
Mhm.
Nazi, like across from the Fred Meyer, where
Mhm.
a husband had gone in and shot his wife and then himself. That was my first day covering cops, and let me tell you, I did not know what I was
Oh.
doing. And I sped to Tualatin, probably didn't speed because I wasn't that eager to get there, frankly. And I remember calling my college professor and saying, "What am I supposed to do?" And she was like, "Do not cross the yellow tape." So that was kind of my introduction to cops reporting in the Bureau. And I was there I did write about cats, by the way. I wrote one story about a police officer in Beaverton who had responded to a wellness check and found that the individual who lived there had passed away, and his cat, the gentleman's cat, attacked the cop and bit his thumb. And so the cop is like, the cat is dangling, and so obviously Animal Services has to come in and take the cat away. And what happens in that situation is that the cat is euthanized. And the officer went home and was telling his wife about it. And she said, I just feel so bad for that cat. Can we go visit it before they kill it? And so they went and visited the cat at the shelter, and they decided to adopt the cat. So the headline was something like, cat bites cop, cop adopts cat, or something like that.
Oh my God.
That's
It was such a
wonderful.
perfect suburban, intern level story. And I was there for about 6 months and had the opportunity to stay longer, but got a full-time job in Salt Lake City, which put me, professionally on the sports path. I covered high school sports there, and then kind of, since then feel like I've done everything from, 1A volleyball championships through the Olympics.
I love it. I don't know if you recall this, Bill, but there was a long-standing Oregonian rule. I worked in features the majority of my time there, but everybody, no matter who you were, what department you worked in, was responsible for 1 or 2 weekend shifts a year on the news desk. And you would just, in the summer, it was always like, there's going to be a drowning in the Sandy River. It was like a given. So nobody ever wanted to do it in the summer because you knew that was going to happen. The first time I had to pull a weekend shift, Saddam Hussein was captured.
Oh.
What the hell? How is this happening to me right now?
I say this as tongue in cheek as possible, but you're like, can't something just happen in the Sandy River?
Seriously,
Yeah.
where are my Sandy River drowning victims right now? Yeah, so
just something that is in the actual handbook of the weekend shift, and not the international news.
Oh my gosh.
Please. No, let's not have any international war criminals captured on my shift, please. But so, Bill, as you know, I lived in Portland a long time. Have a recent transplant now to Denver 3 years ago. My husband and I moved here for his job. And I'm very disappointed that Portland decides to get a WNBA team when I'm not around to get season tickets. So I'm extremely bummed about it, but thrilled for all of my women's hoops fans in the Rose City that they've got the opportunity to enjoy this. We'll be moving back in 3 years when we retire, so I will definitely get on that season ticket holder list.
Nice.
But in the interim, I'm really bummed that I'm missing out on all of this kind of pre-expansion falderall in Portland, but you've kind of got a front row seat to it all. How would you kind of characterize Portland's response to this expansion team and this kind of newest iteration of women's basketball in the Rose City?
Well, I think, it's been all, terrific and wonderful just from the standpoint of, either you are a women's basketball fan who has, been awaiting this moment, or you are a Portlander who is not yet all that familiar with women's basketball, but is just excited that there's more coming to the city. This is, as you guys both know, is a great sports town, but with kind of limited, limited teams. The Pickles are celebrated, and that's a college woodbat team, and they're much more than a college woodbat team. Obviously, they're a cultural phenomenon, but
Of course.
but especially in the summer, if you aren't into soccer, like your options are somewhat limited. And so the idea of there being, another team that you can embrace and get behind and root for and support, you can rock the merch, I think is awesome, and just another kind of source of community in the city. And I think what also is so inspiring about Portland landing this team, the Fire, is that
Get to that.
is that it really was a grassroots effort. And I was in the sports bra in 2023 when Senator Wyden had brought together all these groups of people and representatives from the Blazers, from the Timbers, the Thorns, youth basketball players. Oregon State and the University of Oregon had players, and both their head coaches were there to sort of like have a panel discussion about why Portland was so perfect and so ready for a WNBA team when Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner, was visiting Portland, was doing a bit of a site visit. And it was such a compelling sales pitch. And you guys have probably been in the sports bra. It's not a huge,
love it.
it's not a huge space.
No,
And
it's nice and cozy. Yeah.
and imagine, I'm sure it was way over fire code. Like, I mean, a fire code, the fire marshal,
You can't
the-
stop.
the fire
They just
marshal would have
come
had
in.
issues with it. But it was, I know that's not where it started, but that was where it kind of went public and kind of was I think the debut of the effort from in a front facing way, a forward facing way. And I think that really got the attention, of the city and of people who were, kind of maybe casually paying attention or knew there was an effort, but didn't know where Portland ranked.
Mhm.
And as you guys know, I mean, the city was in position to get that team that fall, that along with, shortly after the Golden State announcement, there was supposed to be an announcement of Portland, but, it ended up falling apart due to the owner, the proposed owner, Kirk Brown, backing out, and it left the bid without an owner. And so the fact that within another year, it was able to be picked up and pieced back together because the Bethal siblings came in and they had just bought the Fire after the Thorns after Merritt Paulson had
Mhm.
let them go. They came in and saw the opportunity. They already were, stewards of a women's sports franchise in town, and they saw an opportunity to double down on that investment. But they also saw, I mean, the Thorns, set NWSL attendance records every year. They are number one in attendance even still. Even though there are teams like, San Diego and LA now. So, they recognized the business opportunity, but just the cultural significance of women's sports and how underserved, that market was here, even with a team like the Thorns. And so I think expanding the footprint of professional women's sports here is just, something that is truly celebrated. And I'm just excited to see it get off the ground next spring. I hope next spring.
Yes.
The
Oh my
CBA needs
gosh.
to get figured
Fingers
out.
are crossed.
There's
Fingers are crossed.
no way they're not going to be ready by the season. It is
No,
much
but
more damaging
know.
to the start, much
Yeah.
more damaging to the league to not start on time than
Yeah.
to be however far apart in the CBA negotiations.
Definitely.
Exactly. Yes, we're really, really hoping. So you touched a bit on the city community reaction and things like that. But for those who don't know, this is not the first time that Portland has had a WNBA team, and we'll get more into that when we really get into the name discussion. But can you just give a little brief overview and kind of what you know about the original Portland Fire?
Well, I would even go further back to the Portland Power of the
Mhm.
ABL, which was the predecessor of the Fire, and the ABL was a league that predated the WNBA, and they may have even overlapped for a while. If that, I mean, you guys might
Oh.
know better than me.
I'm not
but
sure.
but certainly, like, one essentially ran into the other if they didn't overlap. And the Portland Power, was a team that had Katie Stedding, who's
Mhm.
from Oregon, Natalie Williams, who was on the '96 Olympics team, is a legend in the sport, UCLA star, played for the Utah Stars later after in the WNBA, and that was a tremendous product. And people speak very fondly about the Portland Power. And I actually, one year for Christmas, got Portland Power tickets from my Aunt Jan, who is
I
Oh.
love all of that.
is an occasional figure who pops up in columns of mine, because she was always the aunt who was giving me, Blazers gear and tickets, and just a lot of my love of sports actually, I think, can be traced back to the enthusiasm that my Aunt Jan, who was a third and fourth grade teacher for her career,
Oh.
brought to it. And so she bought me Portland Power tickets one year, I want to say like '97, for Christmas, and then the team folded. The league folded. And so I never got to go to a game. But so I think they got turned into a voucher from my Aunt Jan for Portland Fire tickets, or maybe Blazers tickets. But
Okay.
so the Portland Power was kind of the and maybe there's history that goes even further back that I'm not familiar with, but in my mind, that's kind of where it starts. I mean, obviously, there's great women's basketball tradition here in girls basketball. When you talk about like Oregon City high school basketball,
Exactly.
the girls basketball,
those powerhouse teams,
right. I mean, it's
Incredible.
it's not just professional, right? Like, I mean, there's a culture of girls and women's basketball here that is really, really rich, and I think is if not unique to Portland, is pretty rare, especially in like the era we're talking about. And so the Portland Fire arrived. Was it 2000? Was the first season, and it was when the NBA owned and operated the WNBA. So Paul Allen was essentially the owner of the team, and it was when teams had, and I'm going to try to stay away from the name conversation until you guys are ready, but it's when, every WNBA team's name sort of played off the NBA team, that they were partner organizations. It was sort of like a co-branding situation, the Sacramento Kings and the Sacramento Monarchs, the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury, the Utah Jazz and the Utah Stars, I mean, let me think. The New York Liberty doesn't quite fit that, but there were others. The Houston Comets and the Houston Rockets.
Right.
Orlando
the Mystics
and the Wizards, and then
Wizards.
and then Orlando had a team very briefly that also had sort of a corny Disney magic name.
Oh,
what was that? I can't remember. Hold on. Orlando.
Wait,
the Miracle. The Orlando Miracle.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Yeah. The Cleveland
they're kind of universally bad.
They are. They are. I mean, and like the ones that have withstood time, I mean, it's relatively few, but the New York Liberty, the LA Sparks, the Mercury, the Cleveland Rockers are coming back. And by the way, I fully endorse the Cleveland Rockers. That is a great name. Like, I'm not blanket opposed to returning to the original team names. The Cleveland Rockers was incredible. But it was a team that was here. Not here for a long time, but was here for a good time. They averaged, I want to say, 8,000 fans per game. 3 losing years. But the city, I remember, because I was a teenager, and I remember the city embrace, and I didn't live in Portland, so I mean, me acting like I actually understood the vibes of Portland, a little bit wrong. I grew up in a very small Oregon coast town, but I watched those games, and then they got Jackie frickin' Stiles, who, if you guys remember Jackie Stiles in college, Mia, you may not, but she was such a baller. And
badass,
and she got Southwest Missouri State to the Final Four. She set the NCAA scoring record, which stood for 15 years until Kelsey Plum broke it at UW.
Isn't she still top 5 or 6?
Oh yeah. And she was the ponytailed assassin was her nickname, and she just was a killer. Amazing. And the Fire were able to draft her with the 5th pick in the 2001 draft, and so she was here for 2 years. And so, again, my Aunt Jan got me courtside tickets to a Fire game, and I sat on the baseline courtside to watch Jackie Stiles and the Fire, and that was an amazing experience. And I remember telling Jackie Stiles, because she was on my podcast, my currently on hiatus podcast, the Oregonian Sports Podcast. I told her that was the first and maybe only but this just to speak to the pedestal I put her on. We had a basketball hoop out in our gravel driveway, and she was the player that I remember going out and emulating during that NCAA tournament run, because she was such a incredible player to watch. And then she had terrible injuries, and I think she got really terrible medical treatment from the Fire. She played through a partially torn Achilles, which is insane. Yeah. And so her career was, unfortunately, pretty abbreviated. But, I mean, that's the face of that era of the Fire. And then, 3 years later, or excuse me, after 3 seasons, the specific history eludes me, but was that when Paul Allen put the Rose Quarter into bankruptcy, and they needed to find new ownership for the Fire, or else the team was just going to, or the league was just going to do away with it? And
that is my understanding.
And then the team folded. It didn't move, right? The Fire didn't move somewhere else. It wasn't,
No.
And so, so the team just straight up folded and went away. But I mean, there are, and I almost felt like I didn't really feel like people even really remembered the Fire. It just wasn't something that I felt like people really had a strong recall of even existing. What do you think?
I think a lot of people, Bill, don't remember. And I will say, so Mia's dad, whom John Hunt, longtime sports reporter at the Oregonian, He and I went to a Fire game, I mean, in, like, 2001. It was super fun. I
Mhm.
mean, I have no recollection what we paid for those seats, not a lot. I think we're in the 3rd row. It was so great, and I mean, totally understandable what happened there. You know, Portland wasn't alone in those challenges to keep those teams funded, but, it's just so cool to see him kinda coming back and having that second life, and
And it was, I remember, I mean, again, like I was a kid, so maybe, just through kids' eyes, everything kind of seems like a family experience, but I remember it being
yeah.
like an incredible family experience, and
Yep.
the mascot was that like Dalmatian.
There was
Do you remember the Dalmatian
oh,
mascot?
what's
Like, and his, oh my
kinda
God, what
like
was,
the fire dog, like the
yeah,
fire
like,
again,
yeah,
Cute.
fire
the
dog.
fire truck dog,
What
yeah.
was his name? It was
Oh,
Oh,
like, it
do
was
we
a
think
name
he's
like,
coming back?
oh,
I fear they'll do something much worse, like
oh,
a dancing, ember or something,
Oh, yeah.
oh god.
like a flame, um, Spot. I was gonna say Spot, and I'm mad at myself
Spot.
for not
Okay,
saying it because
classic.
then I would have looked really plugged in, but it was
Very
Spot.
literal, very literal mascot name for the fire.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Okay, I really don't want to go forward without starting the name conversation. I feel
Okay.
I'm
like we're
dying
here,
to
we
get to
gotta talk
this.
about it.
Dying to get to
So
it.
and I just wanna say, I'm sure our listeners will be very familiar with Bill's article about his column about why he thinks the Portland Fire name is so bad. And if you haven't read it, we will be linking it in the show notes on our socials, everything. But it's titled Portland's WNBA owners had one job. Don't name the team after the disaster destroying our state. Take it away, Bill. Are these still your current feelings? Walk us through. I think you made some incredible points in this column, and I'm on your side for sure, but I want to hear more.
So I think that there are. Where do I want to start? Uh, so I mean, I would have never picked the name The Fire again, despite the history and the fact that I have very fond memories of that team. And it's not just because of wildfires, but wildfires are a part of it for me. And I think that there are like, I think it's like a three-legged stool of bad for me,
Hmm.
and the three factors that make it bad are the wildfire thing, that the team is going to play in the summer when Oregon is absolutely ravaged by fires and communities
Hmm.
get destroyed. Even and the news broke that they were going to Sean Hyken from the Rose Garden Report had discovered the trademark application for fire, and that came right on the heels of a really terrible fire in the gorge in Rowena that destroyed, I think they said like 100 structures. I mean, it's in the column, but like 100 structures and like
Hmm.
73 homes, in a relatively small fire, but like in a canyon that just like, this small unincorporated community that just got, totally, gutted an hour, 10 minutes east of Portland. And to me, like that's sort of the dichotomy where it's like this team's gonna be playing and we're gonna be saying, "Oh, go Fire! Like let's go to the Fire game." Or did you see the fire last night? And it's like, wait, the one that like is burning in Central Oregon, or the one that like lost to the Mercury in overtime? And so I just thought that was problematic. The other two issues, though, I think just are as important. One, the Fire was not a successful team the first time around. I don't think that there's great nostalgia for that team. I think
Hmm.
that they were sort of banking on like a real like wave of nostalgia for the 2000 to 2002 Portland Fire, and I don't think that largely exists. And Chris, I think you touched on that as well, because it was so long ago. It was such a
Mhm.
brief amount of time. And then the third one, I just don't think it's a very good name. Like, I think it's very
Yeah.
generic. I don't think there's anything about it that says Portland. The reason it made
Yeah.
sense, if it ever made sense, was that it kind of fit that, like, that Sun, Mercury, Kings, Monarchs mold of, you have the Blazers, and the Fire, even though the Blazers never had anything to do with fire. But, like, I get it. Like, the wordplay sort of works if that's the objective. And, a point I made in the column that, you know, this is not a black and white issue, right? Like this is not like a like simple like name good, name bad, because like the name is not
Hmm.
offensive. Like it's not offensive in the sense of something that would be racially insensitive or or sexist or homophobic or something
Right.
that has, an implication that, uh, could be racist. I guess I said racially insensitive, but it just, to me, just didn't meet the bar of being good enough. Like, you have, like, Portland has so many symbols that, like, it can be really proud of, like, I mean, obviously, the Rose City, right? Like, roses and everything having to do with roses. The Thorns is such a perfect team name for a women's team in
So
Portland.
good.
Crushed it.
Absolutely perfect. But it's like, you figure out how to use one of them. Something tying in with the rivers, like the fact that Portland is in a moment of real regrowth and, kind of rewriting its history right now. Reestablishing its identity coming out of a very dark period. I just felt like I felt like the name wasn't strong enough to justify the other things that made it problematic to me. Like, I just thought
Yeah,
it was I thought it was such a cop out of a name.
I agree. I know. And I think that there was a point you made, I can't remember if it was in the column or a podcast that you had, but it was like people were responding to you in your column saying, well, we have the Hurricanes, we have other teams named after natural disasters, but it feels so different because those things have been around for so long. And this problem of fires and climate change, it is just steadily increasing in Oregon.
Right.
And it's that kind of time and tone, like you said, like all of the hurricanes, like we've had the stories of rebuilding and growth and overcoming these challenges, and it's a part of their community. But here it's still such a new and life-threatening issue. And I just thought that was a really interesting point too.
Well, one, I really appreciate you, like, spending so much time with the topic and reading those pieces and listening. I mean, that's incredible. But I think that that's something I really had to consider because, when I did kind of blast the fire, people were like, well, what about the Miami Hurricanes? What about the Carolina Hurricanes? What about the Tulane Green Wave? What about the San Jose earthquakes? And I think it is an understandable rebuttal, but I do think that, largely, like, like surviving hurricanes and sitting through hurricanes or recovering from hurricanes is such a point of pride and a part of the identity of New Orleans, of Miami. North Carolina very recently had a terrible one. And,
Yeah.
I think that when you're in that part of the world and that's kind of part of your, identity, like, you make it a point of pride because, like, what else can you do? Like, whereas fire is this thing that, like, it's not, I mean, it's becoming an annual tradition, I guess, but it's so harder to wrap your head around. And like you said, it's just it's an increasingly dire problem here. It is not inconceivable at all by any stretch that a wildfire could destroy parts of Portland. I mean,
Yeah.
we have the
Absolutely.
largest urban, forest park, in the country. There was a fire, a handful of years ago that, coming off Mount Hood, like, got into Sandy, or very nearly got into Sandy, which is, you know, an outer burb of Portland, essentially a bedroom community of Portland. So, and obviously what you've seen with, the Palisades fire in Los Angeles, I mean, that would have been and then, Alameda Altadena in LA. Like, I mean, those were city community. I mean, Altadena was
Urban fires.
exactly. Like, these are in metropolitan areas. And so again, like, is it offensive to have a team called the Fire? Like, can fire mean different things? Like, it can. Like, fire can mean passion. Like, all those things are true. I just don't think that the owners of the team, frankly, invested enough resources I mean, like, and I think that this, I have a hunch that you're going to see this with the uniforms too, but, like, I'm not a
Oh,
huge fan of the logo. And, like,
oh yeah.
Not
I
Neither are
don't,
we.
and, like, it's so hard because, like, I don't want to just shit on them because, like, I think can I swear on this podcast? I don't even know.
Yeah, oh,
Yes,
please.
please.
Yeah,
I don't, because, like,
you're kicked off if you
I think
don't.
this is, like, such a legitimately important thing for Portland. I think it's important that it works. And I think it's,
Yeah.
it's so cool for the community. And, like, I don't want to be the person who's just saying, like, oh, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad too.
Right.
But it does worry me a little bit about at least how they started. And I think that they've gotten a lot more polished and a lot more sophisticated in recent months, from a management standpoint. But going in, I don't think that they allocated the resources to, you know, to partner with the right groups to, you know, to come up with the name, to consider options that weren't right in front of them. Like I've been told, that they were very close on the Roses, just being the Portland Roses. And I mean, I guess that's better. I don't love that either, but maybe I'm just a hater in general. But but there were trademark issues, and so the Roses
Yeah, because
couldn't
it's an
happen.
unrivaled team. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that the Roses or the Rose?
Oh, I think it's the Rose. You're right. Just
Because I was going through,
singular.
so before Heiken beat me on the trademarking, I had been pretty consistently checking the trademark site because I was like, I'm going to find this before anybody else, and then I didn't. But like the names that they came up with for the Unrivaled League, there's several that like could have been like a Portland team name, like the
They're
Mist.
all so good.
They're
the
so
Mist.
good.
I was like, the Mist
The
is
Mist
like
would have been amazing.
So
Yeah.
anyhow, I just think that, out of the gates, I think they probably needed to make a bigger investment in the marketing piece. And, I mean, it's unfortunate because you have, and like the person that they did use on the logo is a former Nike designer. But you have Nike here. You have they have relationships with Nike. And, Wyden and Kennedy is here, I mean, pay the money up front to have Wyden, help you through this process. And, instead, you end up, looking kind of like you're stumbling out of the blocks.
Yeah.
In my opinion, there are people who don't mind the name. There are plenty of people who do not mind the name.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm
and I
sure
do like
there
the
are.
typeface. I like the font, like I like that. I think that looks cool. And like the P.
You like the P?
But that's kind of where I do like the P.
Do you think
No, go. I want to hear what you're saying.
Do you see Mount Hood in the peak of the P?
It's supposed to be
Not
in
until I saw the whole breakdown, and then I'm like, oh, there's the genius behind it. And I do think it is a bit forgettable. Like it looks like a lot of other things, but I think visually it looks good. But then the actual emblem logo, I can't do it. I just think it looks too cheesy. And the name, I'm just not a fan. But it doesn't take away from my excitement that this team is
right
here.
happening.
I just want that to be clear for all of our listeners.
And so it's funny, like the actual fire logo, like the fire rose or the flame rose that I really didn't like it in the beginning because it just wasn't.
I don't like it
it was hard to like know what was going on. It's like a flaming roll of toilet paper. I've seen it enough now though that like I've kind of become desensitized to it. And that is one of the things with branding and like marketing in general. And like no new name is really ever good. Like very few new names. I mean, I've talked to people who, worked for the Valkyries who, said, hey, we had to withstand sort of an initial response of like, what is it? Like, how do you spell it?
Love it.
Like, what
I
is
love it too.
And but like initially, like it's not a traditional name. It's not something. We could have sat around and brainstormed names for a San Francisco team for years, and we would have never gotten there. Can I tell you guys something? And I don't want to speak out of school because, I mean, I have conversations with people, but the logo, the name, the initial merch rollout, that all happened in a very beta stage of this franchise. Like, I know you guys are up to speed on the fact that, the president was here for 2 months before being fired.
Yeah.
The rollout actually happened when Claire Hamill was like 10 days into the job as the interim. She's still the interim. I'm like, when are they going to lift the interim tag? Like, come on. But they've hired a lot of people since then. And there are people in the building now who I think are aware of some of the issues that we're talking about. Who, like, for example, I think you're going to see the logos be refined a little bit. I think you're going to see them like kind of lean into I think they're going to like the branding was kind of a mishmash. Like, oh, we've got a P. Oh, we have a rose on fire.
Yep.
There's a typeface that is supposed to be the representative of the bridges and keeping Portland weird. Like, it didn't really make sense. And I think that there are people in the building now who would agree with that. And I think that they are working to refine a lot of those things.
That's great.
Now,
that's exciting.
I think that some of it is maybe a little too late for the first season. Like the uniforms are like done and ordered, even though we haven't seen them.
Right.
So I think that especially by year 2, I think that you're going to see a more sophisticated brand from them. At least that's what I've been told, and I hope that is true. And like, even, I don't know what you guys thought of the what they call it, the Ember Circle, like the
Oh yeah,
season
the
ticket.
little like
Yeah.
season ticket holder
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
circular.
I don't know if I totally got it, but it did seem like a effort at a more sophisticated utilization of the Fire identity.
And I love
Yeah.
that idea of kind of the ember is how the flame comes to
Yeah, I
life,
like that
right?
too.
It's
Yeah.
also significant, of a dying fire. So we're hoping that we're gonna go with the former on that
And,
and not the latter.
and I, like,
And I wanna reiterate your point too, Bill, about not shitting on everything, because I know that the 3 of us are very enthused about this
Yeah.
totally.
franchise, super
Yeah.
excited about it, and n this stuff is also it's just so personal, and everybody has different opinions and ideas about it, and I know what none of us want to get lost in this conversation is how flippin' cool it is that Oregon has a WNBA team,
Well, and
or that
I totally agree, and I also think because we all have media backgrounds and we all, think about these things,
yeah.
from an analytical business standpoint, it's hard to just be like, yay, it's here, without giving it
Mhm.
sort of
Yeah.
a little bit of a not cynical eye, what's like a discerning eye of like,
Yeah.
how are
Yeah.
they doing things? And I don't know if your average, W fan who's in Portland necessarily even wants to think about it on that level. But I think that, the
Mhm.
3 of us are part of, a group of people who are conditioned to, because like, we're supposed to ask questions and to be somewhat like, you know, um, not critical, not in terms of like, negative, but like, critical thought. And so I think that,
Yeah.
I try to keep that in mind too, that I'm not only writing for people who are thinking about this from like a marketing standpoint or a business standpoint, people who just, are excited to get a team on the field or on the court,
Yeah.
and to be able to go support them, and largely when we think about like sports and, sports brands, becoming like, a symbol of the city, that's so often men's sports, right? Like if you live in Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
you're probably wearing a Pirates P, or in Philly, it's the Eagles or
Yeah.
the Phillies, and in Portland, the Thorns, kind of broke that ice for the city of Portland. But, I think that in a lot of ways, the Fire are going to be Fire R is like, I also hate those
Oh
The
singular
my
names because it's
gosh.
such
fire
a pain in
is
the ass.
I know. It is.
It
It
comes down to
is.
your own outlet's style. I think we are an R1, although I should know that.
The Fire R, if I had to
Uh,
The Fire
guess,
yeah,
but
R.
but I think that the Fire will be
there you go.
a
There
a
got
Right
it.
around it.
will be a culture and lifestyle brand as much as a basketball team. And so
Mhm.
that is something that like, that I think is going to, especially once the team is on the floor playing and the roster's been built, I think you're going to see a
Yeah.
lot more of that, where it's, it becomes a real symbol of the city, even separate from the product on the court.
I hope so. I do.
Yeah.
And I because I just wanna buy all the merch. I wanna buy it and
I
wear it,
know.
but I wanna like what I'm wearing, so I'm really hoping that these conversations are true, that we're refining some things. So to kinda take a little bit of a detour from the name,
Yeah.
so Bill, you're well aware, I would imagine there's nobody in Portland more aware of the legal problems that Chauncey Billups finds himself in, and without the question being too big of a reach, I'm wondering if you feel at all that there's going to be any repercussion or blowback, to the Fire's, you know, early days because of the legal hot water that Chauncey finds himself in, just because of the very strong ties, as we know, exist between the NBA and the WNBA, particularly from a financial standpoint. There's a big stake that the NBA has in the W, and I'm just curious if you've heard anything on the street about this. It's been a big topic here in Denver. We actually live in Chauncey Billups' neighborhood that he
Mm,
grew up in, and, that situation has been really disappointing to the folks in
hmm.
Denver, and it sounds like it's not getting any better and that it's possibly getting worse for him. I'm just curious kind of what your thoughts are about kind of maybe any links there that you might see, or is that too much of an overreach?
I don't think it's an overreach, but I think the distinction I would make is that from a Portland and like a Portland basketball standpoint, the silver lining here is that as far as we know at this point, the scandal essentially stops at Chauncey. Like it is not a Blazers scandal. There is nobody else in the Blazers who is implicated in this. It's not that Chauncey was throwing games and the Blazers knew about it. Throwing games. I mean, of course they were throwing games. They're tanking. So it's like he wasn't like
inadvertently
he wasn't coaching to like point shave or he wasn't making money. He wasn't working in concert with the front office so they could all get some on the back end. So I would just I guess I would kind of take your question a step further and say, I don't really think there's going to ultimately be that much blowback even for the Blazers. So I have a hard time seeing how it's going to, trickle down to the Fire, because I think the Blazers, I mean, I like Chauncey a lot personally. I've had great interactions with him. I have really mixed emotions about this whole thing. But it's like you've removed a tumor and you got all the cancer. Like if he were to, he's not coming back to the Trailblazers. There's absolutely no path. And so even though he remains their head coach, he's on indefinite leave from the NBA, and it is possible that he will, be absolved of these charges in some way, but that is going to take such an amount of time that it's just, there's not going to be a path for him to get back to the Blazers. None whatsoever. And, I would even say, like, even if the charges were dropped today, if the poker charges were dropped today, there would still be the implication of him, informing the guy who told the guy who made the bet, and once you have that like association, you're just done. Like it's the association is the problem. And by the way, for people who like want to argue that, he's totally innocent in this, and like he was just telling a friend what they were doing, and the friend is the one who was wrong. I learned something yesterday from the new head football coach at Oregon State University, who, if you guys...
we're excited about that guy.
He's impressive.
Yeah.
And his press conference yesterday was impressive. It went a little long. I don't know if any introductory press conference needs to be an hour long, but he had a lot to say. But one of the things he said is like one of his mantras is YAW, YAW. And I guess he said it's Yaya. Maybe it's Yaya. Maybe it's Yaya. But YAW, YAW, you are who you associate with.
Boy.
And like, I think that is something to maybe, keep in mind as you try to like parse the Chauncey thing. And I wrote something recently that, some people have, pushed back on, because I said, the Blazers are going to need to figure out how to untangle themselves and to part ways, whether it's, firing him now or later, like he's not coming back.
No.
And people are saying, well, you're convicting him. I'm like, I'm not convicting him. But like he is guilty by association here, because the employment standard of the Portland Trailblazers is not the same as the conviction standard of the federal government. So anyway, a little far afield, but I like Yaya. You are who you associate with.
I like Yaya.
You probably like that, Mia, because I think you've probably heard that from both your dad and myself on growing up.
Oh yeah, that was ingrained early.
Was
Absolutely.
was it like straight up like YAW, YAW, or is it just like
no? It was more of the sentiment.
You are the company you keep.
Yes. Exactly.
Exactly. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Good advice for life.
Yes. And I know we don't want to take too much of your time, but we would really like to get your thoughts on the Fire head coach, Alex Samara. We had our initial thoughts were negative.
Mm-hmm.
And just, if anything, just from the fact that it's another white man in a league that, with the firing of Seattle Storm head coach Noel Quinn, leaves the league with no Black female head coaches in a league that is over 70% Black women. And so,
and the Liberty just hired Chris DeMarco from the Warriors.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's like, when you see the picture pop up, it's like, oh, geez, here we go. But I liked reading your column about like his sort of inventive approach to coaching, and I would say it got me a little, like a smidge more on board. But I would love to hear more of your thoughts on that hire.
So I was like you. I was really surprised that they were hiring a male coach for starters, and then a male coach from the NBA. And
Yeah.
granted, in the finals you had Becky Hammon and oh my gosh, now Nate Tibbetts, who both are
Mhm.
former NBA assistants. Who
Yep.
obviously Becky is a WNBA legend, but whose coaching experience
Yeah.
is all in the NBA. Um,
Mhm.
so I mean, it's not to say that NBA coaches can't be wildly successful coming over to the WNBA, but you know, we're in a moment where the WNBA has really distinguished itself as a as its own enterprise and entity, where it's not just you know the female version of the NBA, and it's a different game, and it's and the players are different. It's not just X's and O's. It's not like the game is played differently. It's coached differently. The personalities are different, um, and so I've struggled a little bit with the idea of just like, oh, hire who you like from the NBA and it'll naturally transfer. I don't know that it'll naturally transfer, but the thing that I think I like about the Alex Sarama hire is the history he has with Vanya, the general manager. They've worked together in
Hmm.
multiple places in the past. There is an extreme level of trust going both ways. She isn't an adherent of the CLA approach. It's the constraints led approach. And I can try to explain what that means. I'm probably not the right person to, but it's an idea of essentially it's like immersion learning versus book learning. And
Mm.
there are athletes who swear by it. Kelsey Plum swears by it. Victor
Hmm.
Wembanyama employed it this summer. There are other players throughout across sports who employ it, and Alex Sarama literally wrote the book about it. And what I think is exciting about it, if you buy that CLA is a workable approach, is that there are there are NBA teams that utilize it, but they hire a coach who utilizes it, or like Kenny Atkinson with the Cavaliers hires Alex Sarama to coach it, but some players buy in and some don't. Like Donovan Mitchell, I've been told like didn't really. um Darius Garland, not really.
Hmm.
Evan Mobley. So it's like he's working with other players on it, but it's like, is there like collective buy-in? What they're doing
Hmm.
here is they're building everything around the CLA idea. So like from the ground up, everything is going to be done with like a CLA approach. Do I know what that means in in every meeting and whatever else? Like not quite. Like I think that there's going to need to be a lot of explaining along the way. But they seem to know what it means and what it's going to look like. And the idea of building an entire organization from the ground up around a philosophy does feel very exciting. Now there are people who have kind of said, are you really doing something that's all that new, or are you just doing what's always been done with kind of a fancy name? And I think that
Hmm.
that's where the education piece matters, and also the like, does it make a discernible difference? Is it making
Yeah.
a difference that you made this choice? And you know, I think one thing I'll say too about the the staffing, the Fire staffing has been heavily drawn from the NBA. Sarama is an NBA,
Mm.
has NBA experience, has never worked with
Mhm.
women. They hired Ashley Battle from the Boston Celtics. I mean, she's a former UConn player, but
Right.
she comes from the NBA.
Mhm.
Vanya helped build the Valkyries last year, so that's huge WNBA
Hmm.
credibility. But before that,
Mhm.
her
Yeah.
experience, in the US was in the NBA. They hired another assistant GM the other day, whose name I'm blanking on. Very well thought of, but also from the NBA. And it does make you wonder, like, are there not like, you know, um, credible, capable people whose experience is in the WNBA that you can help build this organization with as well? Because, and if the answer is, like we think these are the best people, then it does speak to,
Mhm.
the WNBA's bench of, of people needs to be deeper, and maybe you're creating those people by bringing them into the W. But,
Yeah.
I am kind of waiting to see like who is going to come in who actually understands women's basketball, like
Right.
who understands this league, because everything has been largely built, from an NBA model. There are some people on the the business side who have WNBA experience. Their VP of marketing and communications was also with the Valkyries
The
last
Valkyries.
year.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's certainly there's certainly examples, but largely it has been interesting to see that they have not really drawn much of their staffing from the existing WNBA franchises.
I mean, in some
Yeah.
ways you could, I guess, make the case that that could be beneficial. I mean, given the ties between the two leagues, that kind of having that knowledge and that background in the NBA could be really helpful, particularly in things like the CBA negotiations,
Mm.
you know, all that kind of marketing, that kind of thing. But I don't know. I think just peripherally from what I've seen on socials, the hiring was not met with a lot of acclaim.
I think
On
Vanya, you're talking about Alex specifically?
Yeah,
Okay,
Alex.
because Vanya's credibility
She's
was
very respected.
right, and
Yeah.
Very
like, and
respected.
I know a lot
Yeah.
of people who worked with her kind of in the NBA before she
Yeah.
Okay.
made the jump to the WNBA. People
Yeah.
who scouted with her and were familiar with her game. And I very rarely have has anyone been spoken about more highly to me than Vanya. Like the number of people who like unsolicited reached out to me to say you're going to love her, she's the greatest,
Amazing.
was
That's
really
That's
great.
really
really cool
cool.
to hear. Yeah.
Really cool to hear. And when you hear things like Kelsey Plum, kind of admires the approach that
Mhm.
Sarama takes. That's that's some good feedback.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we of course love Kelsey Plum on this podcast.
Yeah.
So
I bet.
that's that works for me. So what about any predictions for season 1? I mean, season ticket sales seem to be going really well. People are stoked.
Mhm.
What do you think about just maybe how it's going to go? What do you think?
Like this league is desperately in need of expansion. So
Yes.
I don't think that the Fire automatically has to or have to be bad. So I mean, I think there's an opportunity that they could be competitive, but like I would be fully expecting them to, need to build slowly.
Mhm.
The entire league is a free agent right now or
Yeah.
about to be. So
Everybody.
Yeah.
who knows? And that's where I do wonder, what relationships exist, like what relationships have been made between, Vanya and, the agents in the league. I mean, there's only a handful of, agents in the WNBA who represent, a large bulk of the players. How are those relationships? Where, how credible do the Fire look as a landing spot to agents and then their clients? Because, there are going to be big name players changing teams this I want to say summer because I'm so conditioned to the off season being the summer, but like
Yeah.
this winter,
This
and
winter.
the expansion draft is going to provide great opportunities there. It's them and obviously the Toronto Tempo. We'll know more once they start being able to put this roster together. But I think there will be opportunities to add talent immediately and to be competitive. I mean, the problem is that the league is just really good. The teams, the teams around them are excellent. And so, who are you going to be better than in year one? We'll see. I mean, I think the biggest thing is who is going to be the face of this franchise? Like what player is going to be the Jackie Styles of this team? I mean, gosh, I mean, Dallas getting Paige. It's like, can Portland get a player like that who, because the league is small enough that most teams do have a face of the franchise, like superstar. Who's that going to be for Portland? Because if you are, for multiple years, just sort of a excellence by committee sort of team, sort of roster, I think fans are going to really want like, a leading player to really latch onto. So I'm excited to see who that might be and who they're able to get. I know that, they're the pie in the sky dreams of Sabrina.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up.
I don't think she's leaving New York, but man, she spends a lot of time in Oregon. She's here a lot.
Yeah.
I would not be shocked.
You wouldn't be shocked. I think I would be shocked. But because I also just sort of feel like, I think, God, Sabrina's so great. I hope this doesn't come across as Sabrina slander. I think like you could have like built everything in the pursuit of Sabrina. Like your entire identity could have been like, we're doing this to like go get Sabrina in 2026. They haven't done that.
True.
And I don't mean that in a critical way. I think that they are thinking bigger than like, a single player will put us on the map. I think they're trying to build something that's really, really solid. It has a really strong foundation and is really sustainable. And if that means having a player like Sabrina, that's great. But they're not going to put all their eggs in that one basket. And so, before Kirk Brown's bid fell apart, there were very strong rumblings that Kirk wanted to hire Kelly Graves as the coach of the WNBA team. And, that would not have made sense 2 years later. But at the time, like that kind of, that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But, here we are. So we'll see what it ends up looking like. But I mean, I would be out there if I was Vanya, I'd be beating on the doors of the prominent agents and saying, this is what we're doing. This is why it's going to be awesome. Send me your best players.
Or, get Satu Sabali, another, big Duck fave and alum. And, just that would be another great idea. She's huge. So,
and the Fire have the 5th pick in the draft? Is that right?
Yes.
So Toronto has 4 and then and Dallas has the number 1
Storm
again.
has 3 and Dallas has 1. Yeah.
I mean, Dallas basketball.
Oh, dear God.
Tough.
Don't get us started on the Wings.
Oh, my gosh.
We could be here all day.
Well, and Cooper and trade the not to talk about men on this podcast. I apologize for talking about men, but
we'll cut this.
You trade Luka and then you get gifted Cooper Flag. What is happening?
Yeah,
it's insane.
There's some weird stuff going on over there.
It's insane. Bill, this has been so great.
Yeah.
You are a doll for giving us over an hour of your time.
Thank you so much.
This is I probably should act busier. I'm way too busy for you guys. No, but this is wonderful, and I think that this is a conversation that I hope that more people are having in their living rooms, dining room tables. I think that there is an enthusiasm for the team coming here. Chris, we're gonna need to get you back in Portland to get season tickets.
Yeah,
obviously,
absolutely. We're there,
and I'll drive down from Seattle. I'll be there.
I mean, I'm excited for, the restoration. By the way, we didn't talk about this, but the restoration of a Seattle-Portland basketball rivalry.
Yes,
I grew up with that with the Blazers and Sonics. There was, it was a budding rivalry with the Storm and the Fire the first time around, and that should absolutely be a hallmark of this franchise's existence. Obviously having a natural regional rival for one of the iconic franchises of the league in the Storm. Those games should be absolutely electric. So I'll look forward to seeing you there.
Oh yes, for sure.
Those will be fun. Hits a lot of Storm games. This will be so fun.
I do.
Well, Homestands is blessed with not one, but 2 special guests on this episode about the Portland Fire, and our second willing victim, somewhat willing, maybe suspicious, but willing victim, is, in full transparency, a dear friend of mine. We have known each other for more than 15 years, and I will just say that mini life lesson, sometimes bad boyfriends can lead to the best friends. And that's definitely what happened
Bill.
with myself. Right. Oh my God. With myself and Kate Sokoloff, who we're going to be talking to a little bit today. Kate is a Portland legend. She's a creative guru. She's a branding expert. Until I met Kate, I didn't know you could be a professional namer of things, but you can, and she is. For instance, Kate named Revolution Hall. Many of you listening in Portland have probably been there quite a few times. That was a brainchild of Kate's as far as the name goes. And Kate, what else have you named besides Revolution Hall? So many things.
Feast, our wonderful food festival we had up until the pandemic, put the kibosh on that. Livewire, the radio show I had the privilege of creating and producing with a wonderful team. I don't remember. I mean, there's so many things I've named, although I have to say naming my dog and my children was particularly fun.
Well, those are
a little
important.
higher.
those are very important for sure. But we really thought, kind of given, your close relationship with Mia and myself and your incredible credentials and background, you'd be the perfect person to weigh in on the Portland fire and kind of the aspects of their name and their marketing approach. And we're just dying to get your take on it. So, welcome to Homestands. We're
Thank
thrilled
you.
that you're here.
Yes.
I'm thrilled. I
Yes.
love this show. It's such a great. It's hard to get a podcast that hasn't been done, but you two have nailed it. Gilmore Girls visits women's basketball is how I describe it to friends.
Oh, God.
That's okay. Well, we have to steal that. Thank you very much.
There's no higher praise.
It's funny because I think when the Portland Fire name was finally presented to the city, I think we all had a text chain going, what the F? What are they thinking of? And just one quick hit. If you're ever naming something, don't name it after the disaster that felled your state in the last 2 or 3 years. That's FYI. That's a free one from me. But back to branding, branding is, I actually didn't know what it was until I created a brand around a radio show. And it's the name, it's the logo, it's the colors, it's the vibe, it can be the environment, everything that a company or a team or whatever event says about itself is encapsulated in that. So it's really important to do your best to get it right. Is it the story you want to be telling your customers and your potential customers? What does it say about your values? It's your calling card, so you almost want people outside of you to weigh in and say, yes, this seems to really capture what it is you're about, or, I get this weird vibe from it. When I think about names, I think, does the name make sense? Is it too close to other competitors, both in your own space or outside of your space? Does it evoke a feeling, an emotion, something sort of bigger than oneself? Is it practical, which is often a good, Jerry's Auto Supply, exactly, it's owned by a guy named Jerry and sells supplies for autos, pretty basic. Does it plant you sort of geographically somewhere? And then maybe more than anything, is it going to create a positive association or a negative association? And one thing I always say to clients is there's a reason there are no elementary schools named after Hitler, because that's not an association you would ever want to, create. So all of that
But
goes
what
into
about Hitler's auto body? Would that work?
tanks. I think Hitler's, lots of bad jokes could be made there. In fact, I usually have been saying there are no Richard M. Nixon elementary schools, and my partner pointed out to me that, in fact, there is one. Must be in his hometown. I would not
Oh,
send my children there.
yeah.
Yeah, not as aspirational. So so brand also, like the colors, what are they saying about you? Are they, again, positive? Are they bold? Do they say you're an environmental organization? When I think about Oregon, a lot of the sort of typical colors that go with it, organizations here tend to be in the greens and the browns
Mhm.
and the blues, very environmentally focused. A city like Atlanta, say, probably has a lot more pop in their colors than we might. So
Can I
all of
ask you a
that
question?
goes into it.
Can I ask you a
Yeah.
question about the colors? What are your thoughts on the same color scheme as an NBA team? Like the Seattle Storm had the same green, yellow as the Supersonics, Los Angeles Sparks, purple, yellow. Do you like that, or do you think that
I
it's time for
I
teams to
do
change
like
that?
that. I think you could make a case either way. And in
Mhm.
fact, the folks who own the Blazers do not own the Portland Fire. They're not
Right.
actually associated with each other. And your viewers may know this, but actually it's the Raj Corporation, I think their name is, that also own the Thorns, which is an awesome brand, our local women's soccer team. Um,
Yes.
and embodies everything I think a good name and brand can do, which is to reference its sense of place with just that image of a thorn in your side. I mean, what such a great image for any kind of sports team, like we're going to get you. And it's a nod to the Rose City, which and the rose gets used a lot for Portland as well.
Mm-hmm.
So should we talk a little bit about Portland Fire?
Let's talk a little bit about Portland Fire. Let's get into it.
The name was originally chosen in part as a nod to the original team that was here in, I think, 2002 for 3 years, and then folded due to some financial shenanigans, as opposed to quality of the sport. At the time, that was a decent name. It ties into the Blazers. We also we weren't really paying a lot of attention to climate change and the devastating fires that had swept the West Coast hadn't happened in the way that they've continued to happen since then. And this is now 24 years later. And there's a lot of opportunity to think about what the name could do for a team here, for the state, for the city. And I don't know that going back in time to a team that was really only around for 3 years, and most of us don't remember it or paid a lot of attention to it at the time, for right or wrong. I don't understand the nod to nostalgia that way.
Mm.
Again, it's not owned by the Blazers franchise, so I'm not sure why they felt the need to tie into that. And Blazers has a double meaning that fire doesn't, in that you can also blaze a trail. Like, it's not just flame. And again, I can't stress this enough. Why would you name a team after something as triggering as it is around the word fire for us? And then also, it's just kind of a boring name. I
Yep.
mean, fire. There's so many cities and that have amazing names for their sports teams, male and female, that do all the things a great name can do, that are evocative and make you think, is powerful and strong and positive. And fire it's kind of like bleh,
Mm-hmm.
So I
Very
want to hear, what do
generic.
you think?
Yeah, I think that was one of the bigger complaints with a lot of people when this dropped, is like, Portland's not whole brand, but a huge part of Portland's brand is, keeping it weird, the quirkiness, the uniqueness, and that is just not reflective in the branding or the name, the colors, like you mentioned. I did notice on social media that they're leaning a bit more into that lighter blue accent color for like their posts and stuff, which you were talking about, like the earth climate friendly tones, like
Mhm.
the blues, the greens. So I think that's interesting. And I kind of hope they take it in more of that direction. But yeah, I thought my first thought was just the kind of boring aspect. And then I read Bill's piece about the fire. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I miss that? That's so obvious. Yeah, not a good look.
And then the logo, like a logo should be pretty easy to understand.
Yeah.
I'm even okay with a boring logo. There are a lot of logos in women's sports teams right now that do just a fine job. They look like a badge, which is very easy to see. You get what the symbolism is in this. I would be hard pressed to find anybody who sees anything in this current iteration of the flame, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, it looks like it's a barbecue restaurant.
It
It's
does.
apparently a rose. And raise your hand if you saw the 12 bridges in here and the Moda Center. Saw no one ever, right?
No.
That's all supposed to be in there, according to the agency that did the branding. Now, looking at that, you just showed the 2002 one. The flame there is kind of neat because it's very clear that the fire is around a basketball. It's
Yeah.
around the sport itself. It's not city in flames, state in flames.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a mess. It's really a mess.
To me, it looks like a temporary tattoo that I would have gotten at the Clay County Fair
Right.
in
Not on a part of your body that we
1975.
all want to see right now.
I just, and I also want to add in this conversation, I am so excited about this
Yes.
franchise. I am thrilled. my husband and I plan on moving back to Portland in the next 3 years or so, and we will definitely be on that season ticket holder list. But this right here is it ain't it, in
I
my
know.
opinion. It's just not.
Well, it's interesting you say that about being excited about the franchise. I think we all were, and my partner and I were also on the season ticket list.
Mhm.
And when I saw this, I actually decided to take a beat and thought, I want to just go to some individual games here and there. I don't know that I want to fully commit. And
Oh, wow.
it's because I don't trust the organization that considered this good enough. I want to make sure that they're putting money into players. I want to make sure that
Mhm.
the coaching is on par. I think it should be. I want to see that this is really a priority for this group. And this kind of branding, as maybe sort of stupid as it sounds, does not tell me, wow, we are so excited about this and we are going to put our top quality into it. It just doesn't. And in fact, my colleague at Sheepscot Creative, Dave White, we were texting about this recently, and he said, he didn't know my feelings about it. And he said, my wife and I got off the list because frankly, we just thought it was a mess.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. I mean, and that's for anybody who really doesn't care about or understand the power of a brand, it has that kind of influence over people's buying decisions.
Yeah.
And I will just say too, and this is a nod back, Kate, to just our relationship, which goes beyond the personal into the professional. You and I worked together on a really intensive uh, rebrand and kind of new brand at a civil engineering firm that I worked at in
Mhm.
Vancouver, Washington. And through your work with the Dojo agency on that project, I really had a front row seat to the incredible amount of research and time that goes into a successful new brand or rebrand.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we consider this a new brand or a rebrand. It could maybe go either way. But I think what I come away from this with, and I mentioned this in our conversation with Bill, is to me, it just seems a little lazy. It just
Exactly.
it just seems
Exactly.
like they said, "Oh, I mean, I don't know what kind of market research went into this. I'm currently working on a completely new brand for the agency that I work at now, and it's taken us 11 months
Yeah.
to get to where we are right now, and it's wonderful, but man, it was a slog in a good way, time intensive, so many meetings, so much market research, so many decks that I watched. And I just when I look at this, I think to myself, I just don't know if that kind of firepower, pardon the pun, went into the development of this brand. I'm not seeing it. Just
Well, it's interesting. I looked into who the agency was who created this, and they have a very deep bench in sports marketing and communications. Three guys, two of them I think were former Nike creative director people, um, all men. And
Mhm.
I'm curious to know what you think of that because it didn't feel like this was designed by anybody who would play who has a sort of emotional connection to this particular franchise or sport, if you will. It
I mean,
feels like, how like in college, a lot of times the teams are just named Lady whatever
Oh,
the name is.
Lady Balls,
Right.
yeah, it comes
This
to
feels
mind.
like this is Lady Blazer. It just didn't
totally.
go beyond that. To your point, lazy was the word that came to mind.
Man, I mean, Kate, kudos to you for knowing this. I had
Yeah.
no idea that is who created this and probably should have before we started this episode, but that's why we have you on here. I'll tell you at first blush, that kind of enrages me.
Yeah.
What an opportunity that would have been, and what a great story
Oh,
for the franchise to go and say, let's find an awesome design agency. There are so many, especially here in sports, where, leadership is, at least there are some women, even if it's not a women led agency. And it seems like, I don't know, what a misstep to me. That could have been such a great story to tell.
Yeah, there's a quarter of your marketing campaign right there telling that story.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's the
Exactly.
best part. It's
yeah,
just my wheels are turning already on how they could have leveraged that, and
Yeah. Instead, you got two
it's a
90
missed
dudes.
opportunity for
Yeah.
sure.
I
Yeah.
know. Okay, I do want to ask, since we have the namer of all naming things, did you have a couple ideas other than the fire that you think would be
Well, one
good?
that came to mind, I did. One that came to mind, and I don't know that it would have been the winning name, but and maybe it was considered, um, in that it's it's safe in a way, but also makes sense, was Portland Rise. Because
Mm.
you could play Rise City, like Rip City or Rose City,
Ooh,
that idea of sort of mountain peak. Apparently, the P in this logo is supposed to be the top of Mount Hood.
they do say that.
So I get it's nice to have a geographic signifier in there. I know we all saw that, right? Um, and it was aspirational, and I love some of the names in sports where they're really bringing you up to your better selves. So that was one that came to mind. I didn't
And
really
Kate,
think about it
not to
much
dig
beyond that.
too deep into this, but how about Rise from the Ashes? We had
Yeah,
the Portland fire of 2000 to
exactly.
2002. How about I
Yeah,
mean, again, not to pile on with you know,
yeah.
But I
Was
the
mean, it
Phoenix
nuance,
taken?
but
I don't know. Portland Phoenix, two P's. You get Phoenix rising from the ashes. You get the
yeah,
rebirth. All of that story.
right.
Yeah.
I
Love
like
that.
that.
Any other ideas that sprang to your mind, Kate, or
No, mostly because I don't want to do their work for them unless they're going to pay me. So
That's
when they're ready
so
for the
true.
rebrand, I'm really looking forward to the call.
Yeah.
Bill and
wait
I
for
will
the
get together.
giant check you're getting from Homestands for this appearance.
Exactly.
Man, your socks are gonna be blown off.
So excited. So excited. What about you two? Did either of you have any ideas?
Honestly, not a ton. I really like Rise.
Mhm.
And I thought I did like the concept of the rose or the roses or something like that. Like kind of what you were saying with the thorns, you do have that thorn imagery, you could work it in. But like you were saying with your brand analysis up top was that it can't be too close to other things that we have in similar markets. And with the
Mhm.
Unrivaled League, which is the 3-on-3 professional women's basketball league, they have a Rose basketball club. So
Mhm.
that was probably off the table for that reason, but I think yeah, I don't know. I thought that could have been really cool.
And then, of course, the Portland Timbers. Again, Portland Timbers, great name. It's
Yep.
an nod to the timber industry here, but also just that image of like chopping down the tree, which we certainly use as we are Timbers season ticket holders. So,
Ooh, nice.
yeah, it's fun. It's a fun name for the fans.
Yeah. I know. I'm curious. Has anybody that you talked to, like in real life or in your orbit, have they had anything positive to say? Like, have you interacted with people who are full on this branding train?
No, no. Usually because I'm just in there with my opinion right away. I don't think I give anyone any room to be like, yeah. But again, I mean, the fires we've had are so, still and so fresh in our minds
Yeah,
that most people just hear that word and like, why? Why would you go there?
right. Yeah,
And the most they can come up with is, well, it was what the team was called in 2000. So whatever.
I
Yeah,
know.
who cares?
Oh,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
just feel, and we referenced this when we talked with Bill too, and then Mia, we can move on if you want, and you're tired of hearing me complain about this, but
No.
um, I don't think if this were a new NBA expansion team that we would be seeing this.
I agree.
That's all.
I think you're right.
Full stop. I just don't think it's to the level of NBA teams, and it's not to the level of quite a few WNBA teams.
Yeah. I mean, we
Exactly.
were I don't know if we want to look at that list of the other
Yeah.
WNBA teams. There's some fantastic names on there.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, before we move on
So I'm not
to
just a negative.
that, I I know. Yes,
Yeah,
we'll
right.
balance
Same.
this.
Yeah.
But before we move on, there are people who are having a lot of fun on social media with this name and the branding. And Mom, this is a new meme to you, but we just had to pull it up because we thought, Kate and I thought it was pretty perfect. So
My favorite review ever.
it looks like it was designed by Bret Michaels.
Totally nailed it. I love this
Yeah.
comment.
Okay.
I hope they
Just,
watch your show because kudos, kudos, kudos.
Listeners,
I
we will put
mean,
this up on social media just so you can all reference it and see it
I
because
have no words. The
Y-
wow.
And to be fair to Bret Michaels, I think he would have done a better job, to be honest. There's
Let
some
us
good
take a
lyrics out
moment to
there.
be fair to Bret Michaels.
yes, that's why we're here.
We
That's
do not
really why
want to
we're here.
offend.
No. Okay. Okay, so we are going to get into some of the more positive feelings we have about other WNBA teams right now. Um, so there are two that Kate, before we started recording, that really stood out to you as being really great. Striking the right tone, just looks good, all of that. But before we do kind of a deeper dive into that, I want to do a little rapid fire where I pull up every
Okay.
logo for all the WNBA teams and you give us your immediate reaction. 3 words or however you would like to do it. Okay, so we're going to start off. Oh, wait, with the Seattle Storm. My Seattle Storm.
Okay, don't influence her, Mia. God.
Well, it's interesting because first of all, I look at that and I think, oh, there's the Timbers. Wait a sec, because those are the colors of the Timbers.
Right.
Storm, I think it's okay as long as Seattle doesn't have a devastating storm in the next few years. Yeah, I like that kind of badge imagery. I love that it's the Space Needle, which is so 1000% Seattle.
Yeah.
It fits in with the city, I think, just fine. The colors are a little weird to me, but other than that, because I think of Seattle being sort of always blue in the blues for whatever, like being right on the ocean and everything.
Totally.
So.
I know. I think my biggest issue with this is the yellow aspect because they have really cool, like, their Rebel jerseys are black with that lime green. Like, if you just cut it down to those, that's what I like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mom, anything you want to add about the Seattle Storm before I move on?
I do like the lightning bolt coming out of the Space Needle.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, and there's the basketball kind of court.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that. That's great. That's got a lot of story in there. That's clear. It's not a muddled mess of 12 bridges and, a moda center.
Exactly.
Right. You can pick it all out easily. Yeah. Okay. The Indiana Fever.
I like this. It has sort of, oddly, more of a baseball feeling to me. I think the F there.
Yeah.
But I really like the colors. I like the sort of old school navy there with the red and yellow. It's not like kind of a primary school palette. I think fever is a great word. Again, where the plague is long in our past, so we don't have to worry about that. But, that gives that sense of being on fire and hungry for something that the word fire doesn't really do. It's a more interesting word. What do you think? That's more than 3 words. Sorry, Mia.
Oh, no, I like this. This is better. No, I really like it too. I think it's cool. I think that you can do a lot with the colors too, like if you're just thinking about merch and things like that. And yeah, I mean, you got the basketball on there, you know why we're here. I think it's good.
Yeah.
I love the kind of retro feel of the logo itself because of Indiana's very rich basketball history. And I would be surprised if that hadn't played a small element in why this kind of font was selected, because I do think it kind of evokes a sense of history and yesteryear. So I think it's well done. And of course, they're my favorite WNBA team, so I'm a little biased, but
yeah.
We see a lot of that kind of vintage nod in baseball marketing and branding than we do so far in basketball. So I love the fact that it's kind of coming into basketball here.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. Next. Okay, now we can really get into what you think is so good about the Atlanta Dream. I love it. I love the colors, but I want to hear your thoughts.
I just love the freaking name. This is a perfect example of a winner name. It like, how can you not think of Martin Luther King, I Have a
Yep.
Dream, Atlanta, all that history? It's so positive. It's just,
Yes.
so you're grounded in place big time. It's so uplifting and positive and evocative. It's wonderful. The logo itself, it's good. It could be a little bit more interesting, but the fact is we see exactly what it is. There's a star, there's an A, there's a basketball, I don't know if the lines sort of toward the top are more about the court, but it's very easy to see. And you wear that and everybody knows exactly who you are and what you stand for right there. My favorite, favorite, favorite name.
Yeah. I love it too.
That's high praise.
Yeah.
Good job, Atlanta.
Yes. Shout out Atlanta.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
This has stirred a lot of controversy the last couple months. The Phoenix Mercury have just announced a rebrand. I think it was last month or 2 months ago. And everybody's calling it the gas station rebrand. What are your thoughts?
Totally. Vintage gas station. Yeah, you can see the guy in the white cap, like this.
Yep.
I like the name.
hmm
Mercury, is the Roman name or Greek name of a god, which is great. It's also Mercury, sort of lightning in a bottle kind of idea. There's nothing that, well, mercury poisoning, I guess, is not great, but you don't really think about it that way. It's just kind
No.
of a fun. I think it's the M with the little, almost like a bird beak thing cut out is kind of cute. It's not an overly busy logo. And yeah, I don't know what the old logo was like, but I can totally see, yeah, it's a little generic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like their colors too. I think I really like the team but yeah, people have been really poking fun at this one. The
I would
new
say
emblem.
it looks like a football, that shape
Mm,
within the white bird beak.
yeah,
It says football more than basketball. So you don't really know what sport it is unless you know.
right.
I
That's
hate
interesting.
this. I really don't like this at all. I think it looks like an orange lemon
It
in
does
the
look
middle
like a
of a
lemon
bird head.
shape.
Yeah, it does look like.
It's an orange lemon in the middle of a bird head with an M on
Yeah.
it.
And
I
there
do like
was
it better than those stripes on the past years, though.
Yeah,
Like
I
I'm
do
looking now at
too.
125. That just looks a little cheap to
A
me.
little
Yeah.
Jetsons-ish kind of.
Yeah.
Mia, what's the next one?
Okay,
Yeah.
we're moving on.
Moving
The New York Liberty.
Awesome.
Yeah,
This is great. I love those colors.
me
They're
too.
really fun. You don't see them everywhere. Um, Very clear what this is about. I guess too bad for Philadelphia that Liberty got taken by New York.
I
But,
know.
with the Statue of Liberty, it makes a lot of sense. I love the flame, the torch. It's so aspirational. We all know all of it, just the Statue of Liberty, especially these days, just gets at our heart, I think it's a wonderful name.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love the seafoam color, obviously, to reference the statue. And again, with the merch, I just think they have so much cute stuff.
Yeah.
The color palette really lends itself well to kind of cute, trendy, cool merch for fans. And yeah, it's funny you brought up Philly, because when they're talking about expansion teams and names and stuff, everybody's like, oh, well, they should just be the Liberty Bells or the Bells, Belles. I'm like, please no, please no. So
They're all going to be playing
Lady
in
Bells.
hoop skirts
Yeah.
exactly,
and fanning themselves while
Not
they
sure that the
exactly.
Southern Belle is the word we
Yeah.
want to be using with
No,
our really strong athletic WNBA players.
exactly.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
bless their hearts.
you snooze, you lose, Philly.
This is my second favorite in the
Oh,
WNBA.
yeah.
I love
And most branding and logo design, they have primary colors, which we see here, that sort of
Mhm.
mint and black and white.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then there are secondary colors that they can pop out and use. I'd love to see what they are. Like you could see a pop of pink, or you could see bright
Mm.
red or maroon or anything coming out to do like a special t-shirt or a hat or something. So this gives a lot of room to be playful with other colors.
Yeah, that's a good
I
point.
just love basketball that's also the flame in
Yeah,
Lady Liberty's
it's
torch.
good.
Is
Mhm.
I just think it's really clever, but not for clever's sake. I think it's just, to me, it's really, you look at that and you say, it's a baseball, it's a basketball, it's a torch. Like,
There it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
And it's
I love
flame,
it.
but it's not the flame that's destroying your state. It's
exactly.
it's contained.
It's
Truth.
contained into the torch.
It's
Yes.
not a conflagration.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we have another one that you brought up, Kate, that you really liked, the Las Vegas Aces. What do you like about this one?
Yeah. I love the name. I'm less fond of the logo, but I love the
Yeah.
name. It makes such sense for Las Vegas. They're taking one of the things we all know and love about Vegas,
Mhm.
and I love that idea of sort of the ace up your sleeve, ace being number one,
Mhm.
just winning. Everything about it. Um, the mark is okay to me. It's a little bland. I don't know what their secondary palette would be. But it's at least it's very clear to see what it is. You see the sort of diamond card thing, but the name really is what does it for me on this. And it's also gender neutral, which thank goodness,
Yes. Yes.
back to the bells conversation.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think there's a lot of swagger with this name. It's just
Mhm.
kind of badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be a motorcycle in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, and, you brought up number 1 winning. It's like, well, yeah, I guess that they are. They won the championship last year. They're
Yeah.
a very, very good team, so it's fitting.
I love a
Um,
black and white
I do
color scheme
too.
too.
I do too. I
I'm
think it's
here for that
cool.
all day, just
Yeah.
because that's basically
Yeah.
my own closet. So I love that for me.
It's a very confident feeling brand to me and name.
I love that.
Yeah. Next, we have the Los Angeles Sparks.
Interesting they don't have the word spark on this.
Yeah.
And I love that the palm tree is a sparkler.
Yes.
That said, I'm wondering if they're getting some issues right now because of the devastating Altadena fire last year, again with
Right.
climate change. We have to be careful on some of these words and making sure that they're not bringing up more negative associations than they are positive.
Yeah.
Um, it feels a little bit stuck in the past to me.
Mhm.
This just the palm tree, the font for the lettering for Los Angeles. It's not as exciting as it could be.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is one that is, like, maybe the closest to its NBA counterpart,
I
and
was just gonna say that, Mia. It's very
yeah.
derivative, I think, of the Lakers.
Lakers, well,
Yeah.
color wise for sure.
Yeah.
Color yeah. I It's forgettable. It just feels very like, "Okay, yep, the Lady Lakers, I guess. Here they are."
Yeah. And yellow and purple are hard because purple is a blue and red combo with yellow, so you've got all your primary colors, but they're opposite on the color wheel. So for me
Mm,
personally, sometimes that can work really well, but for me personally, that's a clash of color.
yeah.
Don't love it, but it's really noticeable.
Yeah, yeah. That is true.
But I think, maybe a B, B minus.
Okay. And next, the Chicago Sky.
This is fun. Love the name. Again, blue horizon, wide open. Love the color.
Mhm.
I love the lettering. I think the net, call out to the net and the basketball within the iconic whatever building that is in Chicago is awesome.
Yeah.
It feels very Chicago in that it feels architectural, which we all know
Mm,
Chicago is kind of famous for that. I think it's great. Good, solid job.
yeah. I like the net too. I like the visual of the ball going in the net. I think that's cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mom, any
I'm
thoughts on the
Is
getting
that
sky?
some
the
hesitation.
is it the Sears Tower that's in the
Oh,
ball?
I
Is
bet
it
it
Oh,
is.
called that
yeah.
anymore? I think is it still called the Sears Tower? I don't know.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
But, I love that color scheme. I
Me
love the
too.
kind of turquoise and maize, I guess.
Mhm.
I like it. And when the sky kind of reminds me of, like, an old airport font. I think the font
Mhm.
really
Oh,
matches kind of Chicago, and
Yeah.
I don't know, there's something about it that it evokes Chicago to me, and I love Chicago, so
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great. And it's different. The
Mhm.
spikiness of the net, I think that's really fun.
That is true. That you don't see that on a lot of the other ones. I do think this is my age, but I remember this Disney Channel movie called Sky High, and the word mark is so similar. And so whenever I see that, I'm like, oh, let's go to Sky High. But I don't think everybody else has that
Copyrighted?
problem.
Yeah.
Hey, Kate, fun fact, until this year, the Chicago Sky's mascot was called Sky Guy, and it was a man. It was a man.
Oh my God.
Well, Sky Guy. I mean, it was for a WNBA team. I don't know. And
Yeah, it was bad.
NPR had a lot of fun with it. And I'll tell you, like if
Talk about it's like literally a mansplainer as a logo
Yeah.
and mascot.
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
Oh my god.
Let me tell you a little bit about basketball, Missy.
Yeah. Okay. I think so. This might be my number one too. It's just so good.
This is awesome. I love it. I love everything about this. It's the best kind of superhero font, I think.
Yep.
I love the colors together with that gold. So much fun.
Yes.
Strong, badass female. Please. The basketball on her shield, and she is just slaying that. I love the sort of art deco of the V for the Valkyries.
Yes.
And it reminds me in a way of either sort of a butterfly meets wasp.
And
Just
it's the Golden Gate Bridge. It's the Golden Gate Bridge
Oh,
in the
you're right.
V.
That's
But it
so
could also
cool.
be a beacon, like and then even the way they have the Golden State Valkyries as a word mark, the way the letters kind of still stay with that V, that is a thoughtful, creative, artistic, and gets the job done kind of brand. Like, this is perfect. This is
I totally agree. No notes.
No.
It is so good.
Yeah.
So good. Why couldn't
I know.
Portland have something like this?
Yeah.
I just think it makes me kind of heartsick. I'm happy for San Francisco, but it bums me out for P-Town.
Was that design team not available?
Yeah, seriously. I know. And God, I just love that purple, that light purple color. I think it's
I
so
know.
cool.
And the merch sales are crazy. And Kate, I think a huge part of it is because it's so cool.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
the
who wouldn't
colors
wear
and
that?
all of the branding is so cool. People want to wear this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's something about gold and black too, that you can just wear it out to the club or you can wear it to a game, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's like the perfect shade of lavender that doesn't feel like it's girly.
Exactly. Yes. Totally
I love
agree. Okay.
Ugh.
Connecticut Sun. Moving on to
Good
the
name,
Connecticut
but
Sun.
why? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure that the sunbeams work with those double things. They almost look like feathers or I don't even know.
I think they're a nod to that, aren't they, Mia?
They are. They're a nod to the feathers that is also trying to look like sunbeams. Like I think they tried to blend those together because of their association with the Mohican tribe.
Yeah. Like they play in the Mohegan Sun Casino in
Exactly.
Connecticut. And
Yeah.
so there is a Native American kind of tie with the team.
Okay.
And I think that's what those feather/rays are pointing to.
It's what do I want to say about this? It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't like the font. The word Connecticut is as boring as you can get.
Yeah.
There's nothing about the sun in those letters and color say sun to me. And again, I don't know enough about the history to know why sun is, I mean, it's a good, strong word. It's positive for sure. Energy, brightness, light, all that. It's like so-so.
Yeah.
I kind of like the red. It looks more like a college kind of team.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I just think almost all of these word marks, with the exception of the Golden State Valkyries, are almost the same. And they are so boring.
Yeah.
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 But I think, okay. And then, I do not like, okay. So listeners, we've moved on to the Washington Mystics. I think it's the worst in the league.
Harry Potter definitely wants its trademark lawyer to take a look at this. What the hell?
I know.
What the hell?
Whenever I look at this, I'm not kidding. I think of that arcade booth in the movie Big, where
Yes.
the
The
guy
Great Rondo or
spits out
whatever.
Tom Hanks' fortune that turns him into a kid. This is what I think of every freaking time I see this
Well,
logo.
it's horrible. And like the basketball, okay, we have a basketball there, but it looks like it's a stinky, smelly basketball. Like you just see that like wafting up into the basket. But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so
Oh, my God.
bad. It's so bad. And I mean, I like
You
the
kind of
the
wonder,
colors
like,
make sense, but
were they kind of trying to be cheeky? Like, who makes like an edge? Like, I
I-
don't know. I want to say it makes me feel better about ours, but not really. I just feel sad for all of us now.
I know.
And what are these initials on the?
For
Yeah.
DC,
For DC,
for Washington,
Oh.
DC. Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that I
Uh-huh.
had to ask
I
tells you
know.
something. They're not even clearly initials. It doesn't really look like a D. And why is the C so big?
Yeah. It looks like a jester's
Yeah.
hat.
it looks like a pointy genie shoe.
Yeah, which they might have
There's
been
so
trying
much-
to do.
Oh God, I really hope not. I hope that was just an absolute shot in the dark, but it's,
Oh, yeah.
When now I really want to know more. Like, when was this designed?
That's
Is
a
this
really
recent?
good question.
what about the name Mystics, Kate? What do you think about the name Mystics for a women's?
Well, now I've got the Van Morrison song in my head, so thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Mia, it's called Into the Mystic for
so
those
our
of us
younger
who
viewers.
are
Okay,
of Van
okay.
Morrison age.
What the hell does it have to do with DC? Maybe is there a Mystic River somewhere? Like, I don't know.
The NBA team is the Wizards, and I think there could be
Oh, that's right.
possibly a correlation there. That's all I can think of, but I think that's it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
It's
No,
it's
There are other words you could have had something to do with magic, or I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's sort of an odd choice for.
yeah, like how about the Stevie Nicks? The Washington Stevie Nicks. She's mystical. She's a
She
badass.
is.
You could
Freaking cool,
twirl all your scarves to that one, no problem.
right?
Okay, this was
Yeah,
designed in
but-
2011, and the
Ah,
version
those, baby.
before that was from 1998 to 2010, and I kid you not, you guys, it's the exact same logo but with different colors. Like the color scheme is gold, blue, and orange, but it's the exact same logo.
And Mia, now I can unsee it. You're so right about the stinky ball. It
I
looks
know. It's
like
like I'm sure
it's
it
trying to
meant,
run
like,
away from the logo.
I know.
Look, it's like, get me out of here.
It's like, get me anywhere but the hoop. Get me out of the hoop. That's what it looks like.
I will say,
It's yeah.
one thing that I think is clever is the way they incorporated a W as the net.
yeah, that's good.
Oh,
Yeah,
that is cool.
So get rid of everything else. And if you're going to use the name Mystic, don't be so obvious as to make it look like you're at the Ren Fair talking to the witch woman and getting your fortune done. Just print the word.
Just
you
print
know?
the word. And why is it lowercase? Why is Mystics in lowercase? I don't want to see a lowercase I. That looks so dumb.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, Mystics designer, if you are listening, first of all, I will help you for free
Yeah.
on the next one. And second, answer these questions for us.
Yes,
We need answers.
We'll compile a list.
What were you thinking? I think it's yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my
This
gosh.
this could be an ongoing homestand segment called "What Were You Thinking?"
What were
where
you
we
thinking?
just look at design, we look at fashion, we look at all the things
Oh,
that are not actually basketball.
you might have just signed yourself up for something, Kate. That
Yeah,
can't be.
I'm in.
Okay.
I'm in. Again, the
I
money
am
is
loving the
too
free
good to pass
labor.
up from you guys. So
The free labor is just
Oh my gosh.
killing
I
me
think
right now.
that's okay. The
Oh.
Dallas Wings.
okay, back to the gas station logo because I think this was used
Yes,
for
I have
was
always
it
thought
from
that.
ExxonMobil or something like that.
Yes.
That said, love the name,
Yeah.
love the
Mhm.
colors,
Mhm.
love the way the angry horse is kind of awesome. I love that. Like, don't mess with us.
Yeah.
Right.
I love the sort of uplift of the wing, and again, sort of that V shape for victory or whatever. The ears are adorable, and the
Yeah.
little blazing forelock there. That's because I used to ride horses. I know it's called a forelock.
Oh.
Mhm.
The hooves are rather dainty, but in a kind of a cool way.
Yeah,
So
they have
it's
that
not a super
sharpness.
scary
Yeah.
horse, but it's a
Mhm.
sort of, yeah, yeah. I like this.
Yeah, I like it too, and I
I like
really like
this.
the
It's no
colors.
Valkyrie, but
The colors are great,
colors
and
are
they look
awesome.
great on uniforms.
They
They're
do.
sharp. When they're
Yeah.
out there, they are really sharp.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, one trick in terms of looking at colors in a brand is if you look at them in black and white, you can see if you've differentiated the like in the intensity of the color enough. So
Oh.
like sometimes you'll take a screenshot of something, look at it black and white, and you go, there's no contrast there. Here, there would be good contrast.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that
that's
makes
true.
sense.
That's a good
Yeah.
tip.
Okay.
So it's a good way to
Yeah.
know that you if you need to bump up your palette with something a little bit brighter and lighter.
Oh.
I know,
Wow,
in
that's
the
very
weeds here,
interesting.
sorry.
No, I like that. Okay.
Oh,
Wow. We have
Mia,
quite a
you are
league.
lying to
I
us.
know, I really thought wait,
How many teams are
oh
in
my
the
gosh. Okay,
WNBA?
2 more, 2 more, 2 more. Minnesota Lynx.
love it.
It's yeah,
The
it's
name.
very similar to the Timberwolves. Like,
That's
yeah,
yeah,
almost
they're
exactly.
NBA
Yeah,
brother
they're
team.
counterparts.
Yeah. I l
Um,
I love the, like, no one is gonna mess with that cat.
that's true. That's true.
Really like the colors. It feels very Minnesota with all the lakes and the nature and such.
Mhm.
Got the black and white for Chris in there, so I'm glad they listened to you on that.
Yeah.
Um,
And
bas
gray. That is
Yeah.
clearly
the color palette
basketball,
of
you
my
know?
wardrobe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ear jutting out like that, I think is just really makes it for me.
Yeah. I like it too. Yeah,
And the
I mean,
green
no
eye.
notes. I know the green eye is cool
Yeah.
and, like, the little how it mirrors in the basketball, I think that looks really good. And
Yeah.
last but not least, the new Toronto Tempo.
This looks like New Balance.
I was
It
just gonna say that.
yeah, it looks like New Balance, and
Yeah.
okay, so I looked a little bit into, like, the brand explanation, and it has like, the T itself here, it's for the 5 lines for the players and then a 6th line for, like, the fan, like, the 6th man. But to me, it looks like piano keys.
Well, tempo, that makes sense.
I know, but that wasn't listed anywhere in the brand explanation.
Seriously, that's all
Yeah.
I see.
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, it looks like a music brand, which I like the tempo, rhythm, like they're, but the only explanation I found for that was the fan thing. I'm like, okay, well, I
That's
think it looks like a
interesting.
piano.
I
That's a
really like
little
the color palette,
Me
Kate. Do
too.
you?
that's
Kind
what
of
I love.
plum. It's
Yeah.
like a
I think
plum and a
yeah,
periwinkle.
Yeah.
I would wear that.
I
Abs
would totally wear that.
Yeah, it's good.
But I would want it I don't like the typeface. I don't love the sort of the 5 or 6 lines. If you need a brand book to explain what the logo is for,
I know.
that's
Yeah.
well, you're probably not doing your job.
Okay, future
So,
branders, if you get
yeah.
nothing else from this episode, that's the thing that I
We'll
would
clip
take away
that.
A
too.
money shot
We'll
for
clip
you.
that.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
if you look at the logo kind of on its side, I think it's the Toronto skyline,
Oh,
Oh.
possibly.
but it's different. Notice how it's different in the when it's the standalone T.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a piano when it's the
Yeah.
standalone T, but when it's the full logo, it's the Toronto
Right.
skyline.
And if
Oh,
they're
that's
doing that
cool.
standalone T, you would have it could be a tech company. It could be selling me a computer keyboard. It
Yeah.
doesn't say anything about basketball for me.
Yeah.
The T, you
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
That standalone T. And the fact that it's different than the other one is odd to me. Usually, if you're gonna make
Oh.
the just a sort of a word mark, like a letter mark like that, you don't want it to be different.
It's
Like
Right.
you should be consistency
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, like, what was the one where we're looking at the F, that we said was sort of almost a vintage look?
The fever.
Fever.
The
Yeah,
Yeah,
Indiana
the fever. And that F was the same F in the logo that it
Yeah.
was as a standalone mark.
Right. Right.
That's true.
Mm.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So A+ on color.
Mhm.
Yes.
Kind of a B on everything else, I would
Yeah.
say.
I
I
think
like
that's fair.
this.
Yeah.
I
I
think
think the
it's growing on me
jerseys
the more
will
I look
look
at it.
really cool. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That'll be
Uh,
cool.
okay, and that was the last one.
Are you sure?
I'm sure I double checked.
Now we're gonna all design one right here. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Everyone get out your
Yeah.
pens.
That was so fun.
That was really
Yeah.
fun.
So,
Yeah.
Kate, I'm just curious to kind of close things out.
Mhm.
What advice, I guess, would you give to the Fire's marketing folks, just kind of moving forward as it pertains to logo and design and all of that? Because this is established now, right? Like, we have to deal with it
Mhm.
until they do a brand tweak or a rebrand. 7 years from now, I think, is usually the shelf life of these things. How do we get by until that time?
We'll send them an invoice.
It Yeah. No, actually, when I was sort of noodling around online, I saw one woman who's a designer and has done some sports stuff actually said she simplified the flaming rose logo
Mm.
and said, what do y'all think of this? And people were more positive because you could really see what it was. So I would say get rid of the 12 things, bridges, flames, rose, and nobody cares that it's the Moda Center.
I
Like,
know.
honestly, your home base is your city and your fan base. It's not the freaking building
Yeah.
that you play in. It just
Also,
isn't
it's just
unless you're Yankee Stadium, It
right,
just
Right.
it's the Moda Center. There's nothing remarkable about it at all.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I think of it more for concerts almost than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing interesting enough about the building. Um, so just clean up if you're gonna keep the same silly shape, okay, but just clean up all the lines and mess inside and try to just make it more recognizable for what you really think it is. Just pick a lane or pick 2 lanes and really dig into that.
Yeah.
Pick a lane.
Pick a lane.
Yeah.
That was
In
so fun.
marketing and in life, solid advice.
Yeah.
That is
Yes.
What we try to do here every episode, right?
Exactly.
I'm so curious to know what the listeners, subscribers think of this conversation, what their
Yeah.
thoughts are about logos, if they're logos that they love, whether it's in basketball or another sport, and why. I just think it's such an interesting conversation because a logo has a pretty heavy lift for a sport,
Yeah.
For
For
sure.
anything, really,
for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For anything that we care
Yeah.
about. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that Portland Fire as a team just way surpasses everybody's, hopes and dreams for them, that the logo and name doesn't get in the way of what I hope will be a very successful franchise here.
I think we all agree with that.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
For sure.